So I regularly speak on the Kirk Miller Podcast about how we help our clients inside Built to Last to get in the best physical shape of their lives without compromising their lifestyle. And I've done previous episodes such as how to socialize without sabotage and how I eat big at weekends and still stay lean. But I've never broken down really specifically at given restaurants what I actually eat if I'm trying to optimize condition. All right. So in this episode, I want to break down what I specifically eat at my 5 go-to types of food/restaurants if I'm trying to get in peak shape, but still eat out regularly on a week-to-week basis. Because this for me is the continual biggest challenge, especially for business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs who want to enjoy the fruits of their labor. They want to go out with their partners, their families, their colleagues, their friends, but still try and optimize their health and body goals. And if you don't know how to do it, then that's not going to happen, because I think it's totally unrealistic to shut yourself off from the world, never go out as a business owner. It's just simply unsustainable. And look, when you are trying to achieve a great body or really get in great shape for your holidays or significant occasions, of course there's an element of sacrifice. But in this episode, I just want to help you to box a little bit smarter and the types of restaurants I would favor as opposed to other restaurants if I'm trying to, get in great shape but still have a life, basically, okay? Because the harsh reality is this. I may have said this on previous podcasts, but it's important to remind you, especially if you fit the criteria of business owner, entrepreneur, with a family, with partners, basically a hectic lifestyle, maybe you travel, that if you don't know how to handle weekends, how to eat a little bit better on holidays, special occasions, birthdays, barbecues, then you're on borrowed progress, okay? You'll be the person that is in great shape for short periods, then goes backwards, okay? So I want to be the person, just like I do with our clients, to tell you exactly what to do to still have some form of social life, etc., okay? So the five restaurants I would choose would be Greek, Middle East food, so Turkish, Lebanese, seafood, Japanese, and Italian. Well, I suppose Italian could be tied in with a steakhouse to some degree, all right? And what I want you to notice from today's episode is the really common principles, irrelevant of which of those restaurants from the 5 I actually eat at. Because I think a lot of people overcomplicate eating out at restaurants when it comes to trying to get and stay lean as well. If you think about the word Greek, Middle East, seafood, Japanese, Italian, for me, the only real difference within these given restaurants is the way they flavor the food, the way they prepare the food, perhaps, maybe even the portion sizes, relative to the culture and the identity that country or style of food is associated with. But there are a lot of common principles you can implement, which I'm going to go through now, okay? And still stay healthy and box smart at menus. Because what's really important to continually be aware of, and I'm not going to dig deep into this because I've covered it on previous episode, and if you drop me a message, I can easily point you in the right direction of some of the episodes where I speak more broadly about the importance of your total calorie intake across the week, average calories across each day, etc. They're the most important things, of course, if you're trying to get lean, stay lean, okay? I've got multiple episodes that go into deeper context about that, all right? But the specific things I'm going to go through today is telling you exactly what to eat at these given restaurants if you're trying to get more food volume per calorie. Because remember this, when you're in a calorie deficit, what's going to make that calorie deficit a lot more easier to actually stick to is eating more food volume per calorie. And the options I'm going to take you through today, restaurant by restaurant, are going to help you do that, okay? I'll keep it as tight as possible because it's not a complicated episode. So if we kick off with Greek, Greek for me is an amazing option to eat out if you are trying to get in peak shape and still enjoy social time with your partner, etc., and friends. It's full of loads of great protein options, particularly seafood, and you can get loads of tasty salads. But there are certain things you need to avoid or be aware of, or not be scared to ask waiters to change when it comes to your food orders. So what are the worst options if you were to go for Greek? For me, anything that's pastry-based, too much bread, cheese-based starters, high-carb-based starters, maybe even also red meat-based starters. As I come back to a second ago, the more fattier proteins you choose from your starter dish or your main dish, then the more calories you're going to consume from that protein option, okay? But if you're trying to box clever with your meal out, say at a Greek, and you're trying to say, for example, trying to stay within a 800 to 1200, 1500 absolute tops when you're eating out, you're going to find that very, very, very hard if you're having red meat-based starters and cheese-based starters, pastry. There are enormous amounts of calories per minimal food volume, all right? And then from a worst-case main-based option, for example, at Greek, if I pronounce this correctly, is souvlaki, wraps, these type of things where you can have like chips within the wraps alongside the protein, heavily smashed in like mayonnaise, high added sugar sauces, etc., to obviously make it really, really tasty. If you are going to have any type of wrap, make sure you remove or ask them to remove the chips in maybe favor of more salad, okay? And one thing I've never give two shits about, to be honest, when I've been at any restaurant, is asking them to remove the oil or have significantly less oil than maybe what they would usually add to a given food. So, another thing I eat at Greek restaurants is hummus. I will ask them to remove the added oil on top, because even though something like hummus, for example, is cooked with olive oil, you don't necessarily need to have the extra olive oil on top. I'm not a big olive oil fan, so that makes that particularly easy for me anyway. But olive oil is although it's a great fat, it's very easy to consume hundreds of calories through oils, extra oils, when you're eating out. So I wouldn't be eating souvlaki wraps or heavily induced mayonnaise-based wraps. It's just not worth it's not worth the dent in calories. You will create hundreds and hundreds of calories before you can even blink, okay? And they do not fill you up, all right? Best choices. For me, if you are really trying to choose the best possible option, you cannot go far wrong with sea bass, any lean white fish, any lean meat such as chicken breast, not thighs. Because remember, if you have chicken thighs, although it's a great protein, you're going to have more fats within that protein source, which is going to affect, of course, how much carbohydrates you can have to complement that protein. So I would always favor a leaner protein source, whether it's fish or chicken. Why? Because that's going to allow me to have more carbohydrates and obviously added veggies, etc. Now, the reason it's important, I feel, if you're trying to optimize your body composition in a calorie deficit, you need carbohydrates to do that. Otherwise, you won't have the strength. If you go too low in carbs when you're trying to be in a calorie deficit, you'll be weak in the gym, so you'll just look skinny, soft as you're trying to lean down, and your energy will be horrendous, and you're more likely to binge. So for me, the beauty of choosing leaner protein sources at a Greek restaurant is you can have more things such as white rice. And again, don't be scared to say, can I have the white rice steamed? You're not going to waste calories on oil. You'll be able to eat more chicken or more fish or more of that rice. So again, you're going to get more food volume per calorie. And then I would always complement it with some steamed vegetables. And that might sound a little bit boring, but guess what? When you're at a nice restaurant, they're going to probably cook the chicken, cook the rice a lot nicer than maybe what you would. Well, I know that's certainly the case for me because I'm not the most gifted when it comes to cooking, etc. So those would be my go-to options. Would be lean fish, a lean protein, and steamed vegetables. And if I was having a salad, again, that bulks out the meal, of course, and fills you up. If you're having a salad, again, I would ask them to remove the olive oil or ask them to put it on the side. So if you were factoring that into your daily calories, your weekly calories, you're in control of the portion, not a chef who doesn't give a shit about your health and fitness goals or your body weight. Okay, so ask for all sides and oils on the side. Okay, if I was having a starter, I would go for a leaner protein source. Octopus, great option. Calamari, not fried, great option. Again, leaner protein source, minimal fats, plenty of food volume, and it'll fill you up. Okay. If I was ever trying to factor in a dessert, unless they had maybe a fruit bowl or a yogurt, which some Greek restaurants do, I would simply avoid it. All right. And again, this might not be what you want to hear, but if you're trying to sharpen the saw with your body composition, the first thing for me that would have to go, unless you're very, very cleverly manipulating your calories to allow for it, is desserts. Added sugar desserts, you'll eat it in 30 to 60 seconds, and you'll be left wanting more of that dessert. And nothing will damage body condition more than added sugar desserts, okay? But if you're going to have a dessert, opt for yogurt and fruit. Then when it comes to Middle Eastern grill, so Turkish, Lebanese, very, very similar principle. But you're probably more likely to eat meat at these restaurants. And for me, the best options, again, would be very, very similar to the Greek. Lean fish, grilled chicken, lots of salads, asking for the oils and the dips on the side, okay? So I'm in control of them should I choose to add them to my meal. But great options, Middle Eastern grills, for getting lots of protein in, okay? If you are going to go for more red meats, that's not necessarily a problem, such as beef, but just accept you're going to have fats with that protein source, so you might not be able to have as much rice, for example, okay? The one thing I find with Lebanese and Turkish options, if you are ordering rice, they naturally prepare the rice in oil. Some restaurants may say no if you ask them to steam the rice, which is not the end of the world, but just mentally factor in or use MyFitnessPal to log maybe 150 calories from oils if you are having a big rice portion, which I do at these restaurants, to complement my protein source, of course. Less healthy options at the Middle Eastern grills, your Turkish, your Lebanese, similar principle to Greeks, pastry, bread starters, deep fried chips, wraps that are covered in mayo, hummus. They add loads of extra oil. So if you think about it, Greek and Middle Eastern restaurants, Turkish, Lebanese, Greek, they're virtually identical, in my opinion, for choosing clever options. If anything, I feel Middle Eastern, Turkish, Lebanese sometimes have less leaner protein starter options. So if there is like a leaner calamari or a leaner fish, or maybe even a leaner chicken option at the Turkish, that's totally cool. But if not, then I personally park the starter or have hummus at most, minus the oil on top, and just have a bigger main, okay? Seafood restaurants, number 3. These are in no particular order, by the way. Again, this is going to be a very repetitive thing that I'm saying. And what's boring to hear maybe is the simplest thing you could implement, if you're trying to make a big dent in that body composition just now. But seafood restaurants for me are absolutely amazing because they have an even broader variety of protein sources, tuna steaks, cod, sea bass, sole, All these things are fantastic protein sources, but try and prioritize grilled fish options as opposed to deep fried or ones with too much oil in. Okay, you'll just save more calories for solid food, which is going to fill you up more. All right. Best options to complement these protein sources is grilled, roasted veggies, and of course, again, rice. Potatoes, I'd say if you're going to go for potatoes, if they've got new potatoes, great. If you are going to have any roasted potatoes, whether it's from seafood or from Turkish or Lebanese or Greek, if you're going to have roasted potatoes, again, just factor in extra oil in these things. But I would try and avoid it if I'm trying to really optimize my condition. Another great protein source at seafood restaurants, of course, is prawns, really lean protein source. So simply put, you can't go far wrong at seafood restaurants with tuna steak, prawns, sea bass, cod, sole. These are amazing options. What I would watch out for or avoid is butters, creams, basically sauces that make things look really creamy, deep fried, battered. Chips, I love chips, but if there's one thing I'll just park maybe a week or two, if I'm really trying to look ridiculous and in tip-top shape, which would be a few times a year, then I would stay away from deep fried food. Okay, but seafood restaurants are unbelievable. Next one, Japanese. Now, Japanese are amazing options. They will be a lot more saltier, so you will retain water for a day or two after, which can affect the scales potentially as well, but I wouldn't stress too much about that. If you're going to a Japanese once a week or within your month, once or twice, as part of your sort of social calendar, just factor in that, maybe for a couple of days after that, you might feel a little bit watery. It doesn't mean you put on fat, but if you have too much sodium, which Japanese food tends to have, it'll draw more water into the muscle, okay? And it can temporarily make you look a little bit softer, all right? But worst choices, gyoza, dumplings, if I've said it correctly, go for rice as opposed to noodles, because I think noodles, again, can be very calorific, and also they digest poorly as well. And you can have a lot of added sugar sauces mixed in with noodles and things like that. And opt for, again, if I say it correctly, yakitori over karaage if wanting a chicken starter. So always try and go for a leaner starter base, okay? Great choices with Japanese. Again, I'm probably telling you how to suck eggs here, but pick, leaner protein sources, e.g. chicken instead of pork, chicken instead of beef, tuna instead of beef and pork. Again, leaner protein in terms of your fish, leaner protein in terms of your meat. You'll get more protein per calorie. And what is it going to do? It's going to fill you up more and gives you more buffer for rice and veggies, of course, which you can sometimes get at the Japanese restaurants. All right. Then the last one of the 5, again, I could have gone through a lot more, but these you just can't go far wrong, in my opinion, is Italian. Italian for me, good Italian, you'd always be able to get a high quality chicken dish, high quality fish dish, baked fishes, and the portion's very, very good, I find, with Italians when it comes to your protein, which are amazing options. All right. Worst options, of course, if you're going for an Italian, is stay away from burrata in terms of your starters, heavy carb-based starters, heavy cheesy-based starters. As much as they may taste great, they're not worth the volume of calories or how hard you have to work them off if you're at the business end or of trying to get that last bit of body fat off, or you want to make a big dent in your fat loss to start your journey. You're just going to make it a lot harder than it needs to be. Then with Italians, again, I think part of their identity is I love Italian food. It's definitely one of my favorites, but they love big portions. And, especially when you're in a restaurant, they want to leave you full and going home happy. With that, of course, lots of starters, lots of desserts will get pushed down your throat. And it's easy to say yes. There's usually loads of bread at the table when you go to Italians. Try and park it or maintain discipline if you do want a little bit of bread. But I'm giving you the best case scenario here. I wouldn't touch it if I'm really trying to drive optimal fat loss on my condition, okay? Desserts for me in Italians are the worst. I simply would not touch them. In terms of starters, Italians, you can always get lean calamari, octopuses, things like that. So again, focus on leaner protein starters, leaner protein sources in your mains. And again, if you can have a complementary carbohydrate to your dish, new potatoes, you'll definitely be able to get Italians. Rice, occasionally, again, it depends on the restaurant concerned. And if you were going to have roast potatoes, which I love from Italians, again, there's nothing really wrong with that, but just factor in, if you're having roast potatoes, there will be oils that's cooked it, that there are going to be oils that the roast potato has been cooked in that you need to account for an extra few hundred calories, okay? So in terms of those 5 things, you should have noticed a really boring theme a really boring theme and really basic principles, irrelevant of the name of the given restaurant or the country of its origin, whether it's Italian, Greek, Turkish, Lebanese. Choose leaner protein sources. Go for steamed rice where possible, boiled potatoes where possible as your carbs. If you're having roasties, factor in some calories with the extra oils it's like to be cooked in, and go for steamed vegetables, big massive salads, oils on the side. So if you are going to add oils to your salads, you're in control of the portion and the quantity that you're going to be adding to those salads, and just avoid things such as heavy cheese-based starters, primarily carb-based starters, and things that have got lots of hidden oils, and red meat-based starters. You're just going to waste a lot of calories before you actually touch your main. And remember, the golden principle when you're trying to get in shape without compromising your social lifestyle is, how can I eat more food volume per calorie? And these tips and tricks are going to help you do that, okay? Then before I end with a quote like I typically do and some thought-provoking questions, I thought I'd remind you of some keywords to watch out for on the menu, because these are the things that most of our clients, when they first join, are totally unaware of. And these are the things that are consumed without them realizing it, that leave them scratching their head as to why they're not dropping body fat or weight at the rate they want to. The words you need to watch out for are sticky, glazed, honey, caramelized. They're all going to be added sugar. And the problem with these is it gives you minimal food volume per calorie, and they leave you wanting more, okay? Other words, rich, buttery, creamy, they're just glamorized words for saying they've got lots of calories in, they've been cooked in butter or cream, and maybe excessive dairy. So again, if you're trying to box clever at restaurants, try and avoid the things that say these words preceding the actual food itself. And I'm pretty sure you may know this already, but I'm just reminding you of the obvious. If anything says breaded, battered, deep fried, no shit, you're going to have a lot of additional fats and carbs from the coating and the cooking process of that given food. All right. 3 questions I want to chop through just to, again, leave you with some things to think about. Number 1 is, ask yourself this question: how would I look and feel if I ate 10% better every time I ate out? So if you think about, if you even implemented a fraction of what I've gone through today, every week, month to month, across the year, how would you look? How would you feel? Where would your body weight be? I can guarantee you would drop half a stone without even blinking if you implemented the things I've spoke about today, in these given restaurants. Even if you did it half the amount, maybe what you've done in the past 12 months, you'd look better, you'd feel better, and guess what? You'd still eat out every single week, okay? Number 2, ask yourself, am I proactive or reactive when I eat out? The single most important thing, or thing we notice with our clients who are amazing and get in shape, stay in shape, and those who take slightly longer, they're more proactive with their decisions, especially when they're eating out. They're on the front foot. As I've said on previous podcasts, they choose off the menus. They forward think, where am I going to get my protein in? Where am I going to get my carbs in? Where am I going to get my veggies in? Rather than being controlled by the emotion or maybe stress or rewarding themselves after a stressful, overwhelming week, you're going to be totally reactive with your decisions with that thought process. But ask yourself, are you proactive with your decision making or reactive? And how is that going to continue to make you look and feel if you're not reactive? So which one are you? And if you're reactive, what can you do to change that? And if you're proactive, what can you do to keep being proactive? All right. And that's the way to win. Number 3, what am I willing to do to improve my decisions? Right? What am I willing to do? So it's all right saying, yeah, I'm going to do this. I could do that. I should do that. It's all talk until we turn it into, I actually do that. So ask yourself, what am I willing to do to improve the quality of my decisions when I eat out? Because ultimately your body, your health, your energy, your confidence is going to be the byproduct of your decisions. But your decisions are going to come down to, what are you actually willing to do? Not what you say you're going to do, what you're actually willing to do. Because true high performers who look the part, feel the part, all right, whilst maintaining a great business, great relationships, right, they're doers, not talkers. And the quote I'm going to leave you with, your diet is your bank account. Good food choices are good investments. Right? Your diet is your bank account. Good food choices are good investments. Again, a lot of people don't want to hear this, but food plays a monumental role in energy management, focus, confidence. So create more value on the food you put in your mouth and you'll get more value back. The return on investment of food has enormous benefits, as I've said on previous podcasts. So look on your actual diet as a bank account, because it'll pay you dividends short term and 100% long term. And that's that. So hopefully that painted some simplistic things you can do. I will be covering other different restaurants down the line. Of restaurants maybe I'd stay totally clear of when I'm trying to optimize fat loss. But this just gives you a steady overview of 5 for me that you can't really go wrong if you're trying to eat out every week and be in fantastic shape. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.